foreign policy. Another debate will be about the economy and economics. Another debate about domestic security. You see where I'm going with this? You don't have a bunch of subjects that you just throw out there about for anything, and you leave out the tabloid crap. Let the tabloid papers pick up the tabloid crap. You know, if you want to go tabloid stuff, you'll get the tabloid stuff when they go on the talking talk show circuit and giving interview circuits to has-been reporters. Does anybody ever really think that Barbara Walters was a real journalistic reporter? I never thought so. Look, I'm not taking anything away from Barbara Wawa. Barbara Walt. Look, I can say Barbara Wawa. Some people out there, they might think I just said something really mean and cruel, but if you've ever watched is it a Disney cartoon? American Tail with Fievel the mouse. Well, there was a character, a rather prominent character in that movie who had the Barbara Walters accent, and her name was Barbara Wawa. So I'm not really making fun of Barbara Walters because and she was fond of that. She was a mouse, and it was it was a kind of accentuated Barbara Walters accent, Barbara Wawa. But look, if you haven't seen American Tail, it's a classic. It's a cartoon movie. It's a kids movie. But if you show it to your kids, American Tail kind of reminds you of what America really is all about, believe it or not. It gives a great explanation of what other people around the world think of and how they viewed America. You know, in this particular case, in that movie, it's the mice were wanting to leave, despot Europe, parts of Europe, and go to America because in America the streets are lined or paved with cheese. Now, of course, that's a play on, what used to be said about American streets being paved with gold. But for the mice, it was paved with cheese. But it beautifully. I can't really, if you think about it, it's kind of surprising that it came from Disney. But rent this weekend. Rent it. I don't know. Maybe it's on Netflix. Maybe you have to go to, Redbox or something. But rent it. You will not be disappointed. It is funny. It's hilarious. It's very well done. I know it's old. It's from the 80s, I think? 80s, early 90s. It's fantastic. And it gives you a huge view of what America really is all about in a Disney cartoon. Go figure. 954, you're live on the Rod Eccles Show this Freedom Friday morning. What you got? Hello, 954, you're on. What you got? That's you. You're live. Good. How are you, Richard? You're calling the Rod Eccles Show. Do you? I'm up here in New Hampshire in my bunkerized studio. Yes, it's a very beautiful state. Yeah, well, yeah, he won the state, that's for sure. Well, that's what I hear. As I said, I didn't personally watch it because I wanted to get everybody else's view of what they thought of it, and without my own biased eyes taking a look at it. And from what I hear it was a toss-up. Some people are saying that it was Trump. Some people were saying that it was Rubio may have gotten more jabs and won. What I get though is well, it's too little, too late. Well, yeah, we knew that was going to happen. Whoever the top guy is, it doesn't matter. Whoever the top guy is, if you've got two other contenders in there, yeah. But Yeah. This is this happens. Trump does get. I am going to. This is going to sound like a defense of Trump, but it is in defense of Trump. Trump is a contractor. He's the big guy. Any major building project has a contractor. The contractor goes. See, then you know what I'm talking about. They go out and they. God bless you. They go out and hire all these people, these different companies, to build their project. I mean, you might be a plumbing company that's going to do all the plumbing. Yeah. See, and you hire an electrician company that goes out and that does all the electrical stuff. And these trades have to work together, but they're all usually separate individual companies. So the contractor doesn't own them; he just hires them. So whoever those Exactly. So whoever they hire is totally up to, yeah. So, but they always tend to put all of this stuff that happens at the subcontractor or even the subcontractor level at the main contractor level, and they're trying to lay it on Trump when Trump didn't hire if there's an illegal on any of his projects, he didn't hire him, he didn't condone it, but he's. Well, I don't. Yeah, Well, hey, Trump. Remember that? Well, he was. Well, actually, yes. High school. What is he? Well, for people who've made up their minds, I don't think there was any bombshell to get them to change their minds, and for people who are, frankly, from what I'm getting and reading on the Twitterverse and Facebook and in news reports and watching bits and pieces of video, I'm getting pretty much that this debate, although it may have been lively and full of fireworks, it fell flat on people who have still not made up their minds yet. It didn't help anybody. Yeah, they were left behind. See, here's the problem. Here's the problem with the debate system as we've had it this year. They cannot win new voters over. I'm going to say any of them. None of them can win new voters over with their platforms. First of all, none of them have. They always try to call out Trump about Trump isn't really saying anything about how he's going to do this and that. He says he's going to do this, but how is he going to do it? None of them have put forth any detailed aspects of their platforms. None of them. But okay. What's his tax plan?
We were able to do more, charge more, and just be independent and not worry about anybody else. Now there's so much competition in the market that now we're forced to be much, much more competitive. We take jobs for less money now just to stay alive. And why can't the insurance companies do that? They're ripping everybody off. Same with the drug companies. So Trump does say what's going on. He don't care what he says. He's not politically correct, if you know what I'm saying. He just says it the way it is, and that's what I like about him. Yeah, I think he's straight. I think he's a regular guy with a lot of money. You know.
That could be true. I do.
I think it is. A lot of people in Florida want him. He's beating Rubio in the polls here, 44% or whatever to 28%. I don't feel Rubio's got a chance to win here in Florida.
Well, that's what's happened. That's what they're saying out there about Mr. Rubio in Florida. I don't know. I guess
I just went down and changed my designation. I was always a Democrat, but never really voted Democrat. I don't know how I wound up a Democrat, but I went down and changed my designation to Republican so I can vote in the primary on the 15th.
Well, welcome home.
For you know who, Donald Trump.
Yeah. Well, glad he brought you over finally. Welcome home.
I've been following him since day one, Donald Trump. I like him, man. He's just. Like I say, he says it like he's got a lot of it. Look, these people come on, they put him down, how he's this, how he's that. I said to one chick on the internet, I said, "You got $10 billion in the bank? How could you put a guy down so much who's so successful?"
No,
people don't even research anything when they run their mouth. They just start saying stuff.
It's all sound bites. Well, all sound.
No,
bites.
but I look at the issues. I look at the experience he has, and. And the guy is like, whatever he has touched has turned to gold. Here's a guy that spent hardly any money in the campaign, and he's number one. You got to say something about that. And, well, obviously the media is like chasing him around, so he's getting all this free attention. But he knows how to get, he's a real showman. And, it's good that he has that, that experience in being, on TV and everything, because it's really working for him.
Yes, that it is. Well, I do thank you for your call. Happy Friday. Have a great weekend, Richard. It's good to talk to you.
So how cold is it over there right now?
It's not too bad today. It's supposed to get a little bit colder. It's back to normal in the 20s.
I'm freezing over here at 62.
Yeah. There are a lot of people who don't like you right now.
I just took my garbage out with no shirt on. All right, it was nice talking to you. I didn't know who I was really calling, but how do I find you on the radio? Are you on the internet?
Yes, we are. We are on the internet. You can find. Well, geez, now I'm kind of embarrassed here because people can't say they can't find me. It's pretty simple. RodEccles.net.
Rod ECKLES.
Oh no, that's terrible. ECCLES.
Oh, ECCLES.
Rod
Eccles.
That's me.
Huh?
That's the show. All right. Thank you very much, Richard.
Hey, thanks for talking to me this long, man. That's cool.
Bye-bye. Well, maybe I got a new listener there, folks. Look at that. And didn't even know where he was calling, and he still called in. Gotta love it. This whole notion about... Now, I think there were a few people trying to call in at the same time. Go ahead. Lines are free now, guys. Call in 603-835-3224. You can't help live radio. You can't change. It is what it is. It happens. There's no editing. All that stuff doesn't get left on the editing room floor. Any case, the debates are. I don't know how many times you're not going to get what you want out of these debates so long as the party heads themselves get to dictate who's running them. In this particular case, the RNC was basically saying, well, you can't have a debate outside of our purvey. And look, they did this on purpose. Of course, they do everything on purpose, but they did it for a reason. Look, they the RNC kind of knew what was going to happen. As soon as Trump was serious about getting in, they knew it was going to be a circus. And they wanted to be able to control that circus. It's nothing more than people in Washington, in and around the Washington circle, that want to keep control and can't get that control. Can't keep it. They just can't keep it. 336, you're live on the Rod Eccles Show. What you got?
Good morning, Rod.
Good morning. How are you?
I was just curious if you got to see all the debate last night, or
no. I actually decided, just as I was about to turn to the channel, I decided, you know what? I know what's going to happen, so why don't I just sit this one out and see what everybody else says about it, and let's see if I can get a flavor without actually watching it, without being biased about it. And I got to tell you, the stuff that I've the video clips that I've seen this morning, and all the comments and the news reports that I've seen and read, there's nobody out there who's telling me that I've seen that's telling me that they've been convinced to change a vote or even make up their mind or who they're going to vote for on Tuesday. It all seems to be like this was just a big, flat, I don't know, it wasn't even an argument. It was just like a bunch of kids in a schoolyard just calling each other names. The whole sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me type of argument. You remember those?
Well, I looked at it this way. I'm a Trump supporter. When I was watching it last night, it reminded me a lot of a basketball game that your favorite team is winning. They're ahead by 10 points. Probably got a minute left to go in the basketball game, and okay, what the other team wants to do is foul you so they can put you on the free throw line and get the rebound and go back and score their points. Well, that's what I saw Rubio and Cruz doing last night. I saw them trying to foul Trump as many times as they could and put him on the free throw line. Well, they accomplished that, but what they didn't expect was him to make the extra point
I don't know why they didn't, because they should have known Trump. But do me a favor, hold on through the break. We got to take a hard break right here. But I don't know why they didn't expect him not to be successful in fighting back and, as you say, scoring some of those three-pointers, because he always has. Talk about underestimating the guy. We'll be right back.
Your credit score is a joke, and you're too embarrassed to let anyone know your 3-digit score. Sucks to be you, but it doesn't have to. Delete all those unsightly derogatory items, collections, charge-offs, repossessions, judgments, tax liens, bankruptcies, and foreclosures. To turbo boost your credit scores, call 888-541-5571 or visit us at 700creditnow.com. You've heard the old adage, cash is king. But in some cases, credit can be just as powerful as cash. Not many people have $200,000 to put down on a house, or $50,000 to put down on a car, or $25,000 to put down in a business. But look around and you'll find that millions of Americans do have homes and cars, all purchased with little to no money down. To turbo boost your credit scores, call 888-541-5571. Again, that's 888-541-5571. Or visit us at www.700creditnow.com.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-616-8010. That's 1-800-616-8010. Again, 1-800-616-8010. Call now.
Did you ever look at the stains in your coffee cup and then realize that's exactly what happens to your teeth? Power Swabs is the 5-minute solution to get your teeth white without visiting the dentist. This is Ben Gordon with Power Swabs, and if your teeth are stained from coffee, tea, or smoking, all it takes is 5 minutes with Power Swabs. In 5 minutes, you'll see an average of 2 shades whiter teeth, and in 7 days, 6 shades. It's clinically proven to whiten natural teeth as well as caps and veneers. The secret is a tooth detergent that was developed by Dr. Martin Ginniger that lifts stains off of your teeth. Best of all, there's no messy strips or trays that you have to leave in your mouth for an hour. Just swab your teeth for 5 minutes and you're done. To try Power Swabs risk-free, call 1-800-291-5140. That's 1-800-291-5140. I guarantee your bright white smile will have your friends talking about how great you look. Try it risk-free today. 1-800-291-5140. That's 1-800-291-5140.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
When you're ready to take the edge off a hectic day, I suggest you start with a little music from Franz Black.
I guess there's lots of ways to look at things that don't seem right.
No Worries has just been released on iTunes and Amazon.
It's gonna be alright.
You can find Franz Black and his music on his website, franzblack.com. F-R-A-N-Z black.com.
It's gonna be alright.
Do you know the true history of African Americans before slavery? Coming to Austell, Georgia, Saturday, February the 27th, 2016, at the Riverside Epic Center, 135 Riverside Parkway. Black America, From Prophets to Pimps stage play. For more information, visit www.prophetstopimps.com or call 470-985-0992. Tickets on sale now.
And we are back. Welcome back to the Rod Eccles Show. I, of course, am your lovable host, El Rod. 603-835-3224 is the number to call if you wish to join me here this morning on Freedom Friday, which is basically Open Line Friday. Before we get back to the call, Climate Depot is reporting, climatedepot.com, about climate change, wonderful climate change. EPA chief, that's the Environmental Protection Agency. That's the American Environmental Protection Agency. That group of people that's supposed to be protecting the environment and trying to control every little tributary of water, including that puddle in your backyard. That very EPA that caused that big, huge, devastating pollution spill out west from that mine. And as an investigation went on, we found out that it wasn't the contractor's fault. It was the EPA agent's fault that all that polluted water and stuff got into the rivers and streams and tributaries. Of course, nobody was punished for it, but because it was the EPA that made the mistake. If they were a private company, sure, they would have been fined out of existence. But it was the EPA that made the mistake, as they often do. And nobody got fired for it. Nobody even got reprimanded. So, yeah, that EPA. Well, that EPA's chief, the head, the one who's running the whole Environmental Protection Agency organization for Barack Hussein Obama, who happens to be the president of the United States of America, who also happens to be one of those environmentalist wackos who went to Paris, by the way, and decided that he was going to sign on to that ridiculous, stupid, overly priced climate agreement in Paris, and the Congress said slapped his hand and said, no, we're not doing it. But he's still going to try to sign it and get away with it anyway. So yeah, the EPA works for that guy. So that guy's basically president of the Environmental Protection Agency. He hired him. Barack Obama hired this EPA chief. Well, that EPA chief, Environmental Protection Agency of the United States of America, of the whole wide world, basically. This is what, I'm sorry, he's a she, actually, not a tranny, not like Bruce turning into Caitlyn, but a real born she, as far as we know. This is what she said. She said, we don't have to prove that any reduction in CO2 makes a difference in global warming. So wait, we're going to spend all of this money on this grandiose plan to try to save the planet, to try to reduce CO2, and she's telling us that they don't have to prove that CO2 reduction is going to make any difference in their view of global warming. Well, if it's not going to change anything, why the hell are we going to pay for it? Can somebody please explain to me how these people can get away with such arrogance that they can sit in front of a bunch of reporters or in front of Congress, a congressional committee, and say, well, you know what, we don't have to prove anything. Well, the hell you don't. You're going to be spending our money and making these rules and regulations that are going to be running our lives every day for the rest of our lives. In other words, it has come to pass, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, I am telling you right now, it has come to pass that these people who have been touting this global warming garbage for the past 50 or 60 years have just admitted over the past few months, and she's not the first one to say something like this, but they have been proving over and over and over again that there is no such thing as man-made global climate change. They made it up, and they're just trying to grab for money and grab for political control, and most of all, they're just trying to put the United States of America, because most of them hate the USA, they're trying to put us in our place because, hey, after all, we're the ones that we've used way too much of our more than our fair share of energy, right? We've used more than our fair share. Forget the fact now that we're being dwarfed energy usage-wise by India and China. The United States is still the bad guy. Forget the fact that when the Soviet Union fell, and we saw in Russia and other European satellite countries, we saw the most horrendous environmental disasters ever to strike this planet. Not here in the USA, but over there. They're still trying to recover from some of that over there. But we, the USA, we're the bad guys. And so they're going to make the USA pay for all the bad stuff that's happening in the world. No, we didn't cause it all. We're not completely innocent, I'll agree. But we didn't cause it all, but we're going to try. They're going to make us pay for it all. And in order to make us pay for it all, they're going to say that we're the cause of it all without having to prove anything. And they're so arrogant and self-centered that they even have the gall to tell us that they don't even have to prove or show us what they're saying is right. Well, are you kidding? You want me to pay how many trillions of dollars? You better prove to me beyond a reasonable doubt that I'm guilty. Because otherwise, I ain't paying up. It's just a money grab. It's a money and power grab, folks. And they are starting to prove it daily with this idiocy. Well, hey, EPA chief, you work for the people of the United States, but you don't feel you have to report anything to the USA? How arrogant can you get? That stuff really teased me off. Anyway, back to our phone call. You were talking about the debate in Trump and how he won last night.
Well, let me jump in with you a minute there on this EPA deal. When you got folks up in Flint, Michigan, drinking what looks to be gasoline, and then you have our president going over to Paris, that's where the disconnect is in this country. And what Trump talks about is doing away with the EPA and bringing that stuff local, to where in your state, in your city, in your town, when you have problems like that crop up, they're taken care of right away because the people in that community care. The people in Washington don't give a damn if you're drinking gasoline as long as you're paying your tax money. So this has got to come back to the state level, and there's a big difference to me between climate change and pollution. Pollution is when you go to pour a glass of water and it looks like it has mud in it and it doesn't look clean. Okay, there is something physically getting in the water, the drinking water, that's going to possibly cause you damage. Okay, that's obvious. With the climate change, to me, that's in God's hands. That's something that we don't really have a lot of control over. If we did, then Obama would keep his sorry butt in Washington and stay out of the jet flying back and forth to play golf. And all this whole climate change is to me is just a legacy deal with Obama. He has to have something to show for what he's done since he's been in office, and that scorecard's looking pretty bleak. I mean, if the best thing you can say is Obamacare, and it's a major, major failure in this country, you don't really have a legacy as far as I'm concerned. And yes, I think Trump won the debate last night because the other guys are so damn far behind that all they're doing now is tugging at his britches legs. And for us to have 30 to 40% of the Republican vote in the Trump camp, I'm still not understanding what the purpose of trying to tear him down through establishment, the establishment process is. It reminds me of all the delegates that Hillary Clinton is stealing from Bernie Sanders. I'm not a Bernie Sanders fan, but if I'm somebody voting for Bernie Sanders, I'm ready to raise some hell right now.
Well, this whole political season has been about basically a David and the Goliath story. You've got Goliath, who is with both parties. It is the inside the Beltway, the insider, the juggernaut, the good old boy network, and that includes some of the girls. The good old boy network. They have spent the past century or so consolidating power into Washington, D.C. And in Washington, D.C., and folks, just don't take my word for it. Just look at how politics has gone in this country historically since around the turn of the last century. And for those of you in Rush Limbaugh's Rhea Linda, that would be the 20th century, 1900 and something. Just look at the turn of the century. And when you got when you had President Teddy Roosevelt, now you could say that Roosevelt did some good things by instituting the National Park Service, but you have to look at how he did it and why he did it. And you have to start thinking, well, you can say that, for good or for bad or better or for worse, that President Lincoln sort of consolidated the issue that the federal government had a superior standing over the states when the Civil War broke out. Now, you can argue all kinds of ways in that. I'm not going to go back into history and try to argue that the Civil War with anybody. But you can say that it truly started with President Lincoln elevating the federal government status above, not equal with, but above that of the states. And in reality, that's exactly what happened. But as you move forward and you get to Teddy Roosevelt, now Teddy Roosevelt did something that none of the other presidents before him even tried to do. Teddy Roosevelt, through executive action, went around Congress in spite of Congress. Through executive action, setting aside all of this wonderful land, granted, thankfully he was able to do that. But he set a precedent. And that rolled us into the 20th century. And then we get Woodrow Wilson, the first true communist socialist elected president that we had. And the ball started rolling down the hill. It started rolling down the hill towards power consolidation. The power was being stripped from the states and the various counties and state capitals all across the country and was being consolidated in Washington, D.C. So you fast forward from Woodrow Wilson all the way to the 1970s, basically, when even our own Republican president instituted what? The EPA. And then we had a Democratic president that instituted what? The Department of Education. So what is all that doing? That is collapsing all the power and consolidating it into one place, Washington, D.C. And from there, they started, Ronald Reagan tried to battle against it. He did a halfway decent job. But every president since then, including George W. Bush, failed miserably at controlling the power grab of D.C. And that power started to eke out in different forms of different departments through their over-regulation, their ridiculous rules. And it continues to this day, and it's just like a growing octopus with these tentacles reaching out across the country. So what is going on now is that you've got Bernie Sanders and you've got Donald Trump, who really are, now whether or not you agree with their politics is irrelevant. What you have going on now is that these two candidates, who are strong candidates, are challenging that consolidation. And the people in D.C., for the first time in a very long time, see these two guys as real threats to their power. And they're losing their minds because they can't stop either one of them. That scares them to death.
That's 100% correct. And, Trump wants to get the wall up along the southern border. That's really well known now. But there's an invisible wall that's in Washington, D.C., and it's that wall between the folks that really want a small government and the folks that are in power right now that want to keep what they have. And that's that invisible wall that needs to be broken down. That is one wall that needs to come down. And as far as I'm concerned, I only want to see a president in there that is going to shrink this government. We don't have the money anymore. We don't have the money for these underwater basket weaving classes in these colleges that are just a waste of money and a waste of time. We need to have our students on point when they come out of college. And the only way to do that is to get a president in there that can shrink the government, and we can use that money for resources that are productive, that create jobs, that create better education. And in order to learn the modern concepts that we have right now, we're going to have an education system that works that way, and not so liberal that we're not getting anything done but going to school.
Well, yeah, I couldn't agree with you more on that one. Our whole educational system has been geared towards servitude, basically. And it makes me cringe that I hear some of these people talk about we've got to have the most educated workforce on the planet. Now, on one side of the coin, they're absolutely right. People, we're getting jobs that, we're creating jobs now, and we have these jobs that require a lot of education, some form of education. The problem is that we're not teaching people to freely think when they're doing their job. What they're talking about, is we're just going to teach them to memorize their job. So there is no innovation that's going to come of this. It's just robotic. We're going to teach them how to be good little robots in doing their job, and that's it.
Well, check this out, Rod. I'm sorry. You can't spend 8 years in college on a liberal arts program and have a large percentage of your students doing the same thing. There's a lot of technical skills, a lot of technical schools out there that can put folks forward in a great job if they will just put their nose to the grindstone and do the work. Now, you don't have to stand in front of a lathe machine all day and the rest of your life to become successful, but you need to start out with a level of experience that you can make the best use out of and to make the best dollar out of, but you can't expect to write blogs the rest of your damn life. And
you actually brought up a very good point right there, and I don't think you don't realize how brilliant you just sounded right there. Let me expound on this, because standing in front of a lathe every day, that used to be looked down upon. Well, it's still looked down upon, but here's the issue. You can teach a person how to run a lathe, but you can't just teach a person how to run those types of old-fashioned machinery, if you will, without teaching them to be cognizant of where they are, how they are, thinking about how they are in relation to the machine and the product they're trying to produce. They've got to think. You just can't blindly go through the motions every day. You can sit behind a computer and just blindly go through the motions every day, and you're not going to hurt yourself. If you just blindly go through the motions every day behind some of these machinery, you could end up maiming yourself or killing yourself. So you got to be able to stand up and think for 8 hours a day. Here's the problem. When they talk about education, none of these politicos up there, including Bernie Sanders, is talking about trade education. And frankly, because nobody's teaching trades anymore, hardly in this country, there are a lot of trades now that make these guys and these girls are making more money per hour getting their hands dirty than a lot of these techie people. Can you imagine you're not even going to school. You just go get a job to become a plumbing journeyman or an electrician journeyman, and you move up the ranks. And within 5 years, you're a master plumber, a master electrician, and you're making $30 to $40 an hour. No joke.
That's right. That's right. And then your off times, if you have a hobby or if you have another goal that you want to meet, then you have the money and you have the time to set yourself up for another career in the future if you decide to. But the first thing you need to do, and this is what, I worked in a factory a long time and learned how to operate a lot of different machines and work on machines and things like that. And as I got older, I didn't realize it, but I was actually a craftsman at heart. My father was a brick mason, a carpenter. Anyway, I figured out that was a skill that I had. So now I build pie safes, cabinets, farm tables, anything out of wood that you would want. I can do it now. But you have to set goals like that for yourself. You have to think, well, what can I do that's makes me happy, but yet I can earn a good amount of money for doing it. And if you come out of college and you think that money is going to just fall in your lap because you're sitting at a computer and you're talking about what you think people like to talk about, that's not a career, that's a hobby. So
you got to get your hands dirty. You got to get your hands dirty. Look, I understand that. I've been in construction. I've worked for a commercial construction company. I'm a carpenter. I've done carpentry. As a hobby, I like to build furniture. I haven't been able to do that very much of late, but I'm not great at it. I'm not building any antiques at all. Trust me, my stuff is pretty functional and it'll last, but it's not going to be anybody's antique. But at least I have that skill. These kids today, they don't even have that skill because they're not even doing that in school anymore. When I was in school, man, we had shop class. I learned how to weld. I learned how to draw blueprint. Believe it or not, I learned how to draw up blueprints. Right. I'm not an engineer and I'm not an architect, but I know how to draw up architectural plans. How many of these kids today can say that?
No, Rod, think about how self-fulfilling that is to you as a human being to be able to build something and then stand back and look at it and say, hey, I built that. You remember that thing during Romney's campaign, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about yourself as an individual becoming educated and learning how to do different jobs and finding out what makes you happy. And, what you're doing on the radio, it's so great to me and so successful, but the fact that you can go home and build a table, build whatever you want to out of wood, and then stand back and look at it and say, now that is something tangible that I've done that I'm proud of. And that's what our young folks need today. They need to get out of college, find the things that they're good at, but also find the things that they can make money. They can make money and not just like I say, get out there and get your hands dirty, folks. Do it.
Yeah, look, I encourage people to do that because, look, I had to have a water heater replaced, and I'm signing the paperwork that the job was done, satisfactory, and all that. And I'm looking at the bill, $2,100 for a water heater. My God, I'm like, my God, and I'm looking at the material costs. The material costs, including the water heater, the new expansion tank, and some other little device that he had to put on there. The total price of the goods came to less than $1,000. So more than $1,100 for less than 1 hour's worth of work was the plumber's pay, his fee for installing that water heater.
Rod,
where are all the plumbers out there? This guy was telling me that he is, because Home Depot says that they'll get to you within 24 hours. I was without a water heater for a day and a half because this guy says, I am so backed up, there's no way I can possibly get to all these people that Home Depot wants me to go to, let alone my own customers. So there's not enough plumbers out there.
I would have drove to New Hampshire and done that for $500. I hate to break that to you now, anyway.
There's so much work out there because there's not enough plumbers.
Right.
And so
right.
And this guy just made a cool $1,000 in an hour. Unbelievable. But
and I'll tell you, Rod, when you're in a steakhouse and you're having that big fat juicy steak and you're drinking that whatever you want to drink, I'm not going to get into that, but nobody knows what you do for a living. If they don't know you, they don't know you're a plumber or whatever. And another thing, it's not embarrassing to say you're a plumber or a carpenter or whatever, because to me that shows you have taken time and taken pride in yourself to learn something new.
Absolutely. And we're up against the break, guys, and I thank you again for another wonderful call. You're great. I love you.
Rod, same to you, brother. Thanks.
All right. You know what? I don't have a problem with look. All I did was look. I looked at that bill, and I looked at the plumber, and I basically said, "Yeah, damn, yeah, I'm in the wrong business."
Give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Sign him up for the Box of Bait Club and he'll never be hungry again. The Box of Bait Club is a brand new dream come true for every fisherman. Something new and different in your tackle box every month. Every month, another excuse to get outside and do what you love. Don't let this one get away. The Box of Bait Club is currently accepting a limited number of pre-orders with subscriptions starting at $39.95 per month. Find out more now. Log on to boxofbaitclub.com.
I'm just so happy my father had a chance to see his kids before he passed. I just want to say thank you.
When her father fell ill, the American Red Cross was able to help get Veronica's brother home from the Navy to speak to his father one last time. It's thanks to your donations that we can connect military families when they need it most. Please donate today at redcross.org.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-616-8010. That's 1-800-616-8010. Again, 1-800-616-8010. Call now.
Attention business owners. We know that owning a business means getting things done right now. So if your right now list includes a new building, call the Right Now Company. General Steel. We can design a building for your business quickly and save you thousands of dollars. That's right, thousands. You may think General Steel only builds large projects or that you can't afford General Steel quality. Well, check these prices. How about a 40 by 60 foot building for under $22,000? Or even a 50 by 100 for under $35,000? That's right, a 5,000 square foot building for under $35,000. And these buildings all have General Steel quality. Best of all, you can still order a building and have it delivered in time to build this year. How's that for right now? So if your right now list includes a new building, call the Right Now Company. General Steel.
800-393-5756. 800-393-5756. 800-393-5756. That's 800-393-5756.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
Boy, man, I had a rough night's sleep. Boy, I got a letter from the IRS yesterday, and I just couldn't sleep. Man, I'm dying here. Somebody help me.
IRS problems affect more than just your finances. If you're ready to take back control of your life and you owe more than $10,000, you need to call the Tax Doctor. Their expert staff can immediately protect you from the IRS and state collectors and get you the best possible tax settlement guaranteed. The IRS has recently released new programs geared in helping struggling taxpayers, where you may qualify to settle your tax debt and wipe out up to 85% or more of what you currently owe. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, call the Tax Doctor right now. See if you qualify to pay less. 800-989-1694. 800-989-1694. 800-989-1694. Again, 800-989-1694.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. We leave no warrior behind. Wounded Warrior Project is a non-profit organization created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war. Whether those scars are physical or mental, we're here to make sure that they heal. And whether it's helping those with post-traumatic stress disorder live a normal life again, or giving much-needed support to injured warriors in veterans' hospitals. Because no one deserves our help more than the men and women who risk their lives to keep us safe. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge. Morning, that would be me, your lovable host, Rod, coming to you live for hour number 2 here on the Rod Eccles Show, broadcasting live from my bunkerized studio somewhere within the great granite state of New Hampshire, where the state motto is live free or die. It is not big government or bust. It is fabulous, fantastic Freedom Friday here on the Rod Eccles Show, and you can join in by dialing 603-835-3224. And of course, I've been getting a lot of calls in this morning, so be patient. If you don't get through the first time, try again, in a few minutes, because there might be somebody ahead of you. And a lot of times, what happens is I'll put somebody in the queue to somebody who's already online, and then either I make the mistake and press the wrong button and get rid of everybody, or you guys hang up because you don't want to wait. So I get that. You're impatient. Americans are impatient. We don't like to wait around for stuff all the time. But sometimes you just got to do the thing and just be patient. And we will get to you. But go ahead, give us a call, 603-835-3224, meaning that this is the day that just about any subject is up for discussion. Just keep it clean, please. During the week, I try to keep the conversation centered around the things that I'm already talking about that's really in the news and in my sphere.
And on Fridays, because, we want to celebrate everybody's freedom for the weekend. So there might be something that you're holding close to your chest that you want to get off of your chest and share it. As long as it's clean, we can do that. My interests are wide and varied. I am what they call, the guy of jack of all trades, master of none. Well, I'm the old Renaissance man. I have interests that are far. Somebody once told me that the reason why I have so many interests and the reason why I'm so knowledgeable in so many different areas is because I'm an old soul. Yes, that means, in other words, if you believe in reincarnation, I guess I've been here before many, 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 many times. And I don't know what that says. Some people say that you keep coming back because you can't get things right in your previous life. So if I've been here a few times, by that token, I guess I can't get anything right. So maybe this time I got something right. But anyway, if you are calling in, give us a call back, and I try to make sure that I see people calling. But sometimes I'll miss it. But in any event, we are expecting a call here from a special guest any minute now. So hopefully we'll get him on board. And I think maybe we've got him now. Is this 207? You're live on the Rod Eccles Show.
Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having us on. My name's Adam Rattery from Maine. I'm on the other line with
Edward Michaels. Yeah, Edward. Rod, it's like both here. It's an honor to be on your show.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's great to be able to speak to you guys. So, what's on your mind this Freedom Friday morning?
Well, it was a pretty. It seemed like the velvet gloves came off again last night, and
I gotta say, this is just purely anecdotal, and it's really not meant to disparage anybody. But it seems to me that if you were to put those three men into a boxing ring or a wrestling ring, and just say, put on your boxing or wrestling shorts and just scrap, I think even Donald Trump at his age would wipe the floor with Rubio and Cruz. Those two guys just seem very, very well pampered. That's not necessarily a negative, but I mean, if you want to talk about getting down and dirty and getting in scrappy with somebody, those two guys they can't. I mean, I know Cruz is a debate champion, but when you start getting scrappy, they can't hold a candle to that guy.
That's a great insight, and I share that. And one of the things, I don't want to go negative on anyone. I'm here to promote Donald Trump. But in all fairness, if I can be as objective as I can about it, you have a guy who is a lawyer. Now, if you're a business owner or you're an entrepreneur, a true libertarian who understands how to make the system work, I think that we need accountants, we need lawyers, but has anyone who's ever run a business, or has wanted to start a business, or do anything, you ask a lawyer a question, they go they're weasels. They give you 6,000 answers. They're screaming weasel in here, up and down. They can't give an answer. They can't make a decision. It's not an executive profession. It's a good profession, but it's not an executive profession. Same way if you take a look at someone like Rubio. He looks like a wonderful kid. I don't want to disparage and call him Boy Rubio, but he looks like someone from a debate team that could recite the Gettysburg Address with coaching, with real true passion. But when you get beyond the one-liners, he says something, and then after he says it, you can see him gasping with his blood pressure going up, running right for that bottle of water. He's a boy, and you've got a lawyer, and you've got a boy, but do you have a man? And that's where I stand with Donald Trump. He's the man that can listen to all this banter and make it happen.
Well, just looking at Donald on the trail, all of the candidates on the trail, I got to tell you that the one thing, because I did like Rubio, and but there is one thing. First of all, he does look rather young. I mean, he's 44, 45 years old. So generally speaking, as far as the presidency is concerned, he is rather young.
He's not too much younger than Obama. Well, he's about the same age as Obama, but when he first ran, but we call Obama a boy too. So I guess there you go. But we didn't call Jack Kennedy, JFK, a boy. But there is a difference there. And Rubio is not emulating John F. Kennedy at this point in his life. Not just because he looks like he's only, maybe late 20s, early 30s, but because he's got that sort of temperament and mentality. And he can't come across as being a well-seasoned person around reason. And that's what Americans really need to have in the presidency. It doesn't matter what your chronological age is. It matters what your psychological age is. And if you don't,
well put. I couldn't say it better than you have. And one of the other things I like to add to that is that when I hear Rubio say things, sometimes I even agree with him. But when I hear him speak, what really makes him look like a boy is the fact that he's saying something, right or wrong, that you could clearly see he has no life experience in. And I think that's the contrast. Trump has been, through tremendous in his life, and that's what we want to talk about. So he speaks it from experience, not from memorizing something or kind of agreeing something from a textbook. He's lived it, and I think that's where you kind of look at this boyish thing. Is like, what did he live? JFK was in war. JFK was a war hero. He has a little bit under his belt to say something, but Rubio hasn't. He speaks hypothetical, and that's maybe where the boyish aspect comes in, is he has no life experience to back up his remarks.
Well, that's a good point.
I would say...
But go ahead.
Well, just to touch on that, and the other contrast that we saw last night was you saw people who had professional debating experience, a lot of debating experience, and then you saw a candidate who didn't have that, but yet had a lot of business experience. I think that was a contrast that I saw last night, especially during some of the heated, debate. I think it was expressed very well, the difference between your standard politician, keen on law, and then somebody who has really practical, real world experience that has proven successful, and that was expressed last night. But just to finish that point, probably the most impressive thing that I took away last night was the composure that Donald Trump had held. I mean, being attacked even simultaneously. I mean, on both sides. How many of us would have just felt like turning over and clocking somebody there to say such things? And that was one of the contrasts that I saw. A very distinguishing difference there between even the front runner candidate and the other candidates.
Well, basically what we've got now is we've got three people who in a way, in some form or fashion, believe in shrinking at least parts of the government. Maybe not the whole thing, and I don't think we have any candidate that believes in shrinking. Well, some people argue that Cruz is about shrinking the whole government. I don't buy it for a moment. The guy is he's too well rehearsed, too well polished, too well practiced. He's an accomplished attorney. And speaking from a person who at one point studied and wanted to be an attorney, who's actually been in a courtroom, who's actually interned with a law firm, I know well-rehearsed and well-practiced people when I see them, and that's Ted Cruz. And if you think that he's natural, I'm telling you folks right now, he's a lawyer. He's not being natural on the stage, on the stump. He's just not. It's just not in him to be that way.
Well, you're right.
He's well trained. But I'm not taking that from him because that's the way he was trained, and he comes from a particular area or an era in our country's history where lawyers were looked at as being an actor on a stage. I kid you not, folks. This is one of the things they actually teach in law school, because you have to convince a judge and a jury
that your version of the truth, now understand that, your version of the truth is the right version. And in order to do that, you've got to be a better actor than the opposing attorney. And what a better actor than somebody with corporate law, an expert in corporate, an expert corporate lawyer. You're going to get that act. You're going to get that showmanship because that is what it's been. That's how you've been trained. And that really comes across to me too when I see Ted Cruz speak. Is that I'm seeing a lot of kind of manufactured in a way. You see that lawyer in civil civil lawyer and on trial. He has that, and he does very well at that too. I, as a Christian, can see through a lot of it. I can really see through a lot of it, and it's very easy to discern between what he's saying is true and hey, may not be bad, than to what's just absolute error and don't hold any water.
I've also seen that. I once again, I don't want to make any disparaging remarks about him per se, but in all truth, he says once again a lot of things that on the face value of it, if you don't take into his definitions and how he's trying to define the conversation, but on a prima facie interpretation of what he's saying, I have to say Cruz says a lot of stuff I believe in. And it begs the question, why am I so passionate for Trump and rather not for Ted Cruz? And my answer is that liberals, and I want to distinguish myself from liberals because I don't feel I'm a liberal at all, although I'm sure that if you had Mark Levine on here, he'd call me, an extremist liberal, according to his definition. But that said, what liberals will proverbially say is, I hate Ted Cruz, he's so bad. And when you ask why, they'll say, because I don't like what he says he believes in. My response to that is, I share your dislike for Ted Cruz, but it's not on what he says he believes in. I don't believe that he believes what he says. I don't believe what he says. I mean, he can say a lot. He defines his words, and it's beyond acting. Another thing that a lawyer has to do is control the conversation, control the definitions. So when he speaks of a constitutional lawyer, I believe in the Constitution. Well, that's fine and well, and he's trying to infer that trying to use the Constitution defines him to be a conservative. And I could submit that, like the ACLU will do the same thing, and I don't know how many people in this country will define the ACLU to be anything but an extreme liberal wing, with some exceptions, of course. But using the Constitution or using the Bible, I mean, it's like when he's in South Carolina, he'll wave the Bible. When he goes out west and he wants to talk about the grazing rights people, he'll throw the Bible down and he'll pick up the Constitution, but on specific grounds the way he wants to interpret it for his audience. So I don't really want to say someone's a liberal or a conservative because they throw up a Bible, but into real values. And I don't really submit that you can be a conservative, at least by my definition, and not be a patriot. And I would like to ask Ted Cruz, if there's Ted Cruz listeners out there, is since when did the Constitution give you a right to outsource jobs to communist China? And is that the constitutional right? Is it a constitutional right to work on TPP and HB1 visa workers, replacement workers? Is that a constitutional right to I mean, this is where he's coming from. Cruz constantly will tell you, I'm against the TPP, and he's talking about Trump have a history. Well, let's get back to Cruz's history. Cruz has a history of actually being one of the key authors of TPP. That's an investment of time, philosophy and belief. And then after he gets called on it in Iowa, I was against it. I mean, it's worse than the flip-flopper, I was with it and for it and against it. He crafted the TPP, the Gang of Eight. His donor base comes from Silicon Valley with the HB1 visa replacement worker program. So, when he says he's a conservative, is being a traitor a conservative? I mean, conserving our nation, conserving our values, which he claims he's also a values voter. Where is his values and his conservative base when he's for usurping the actual economic and cultural and political integrity of our nation by selling it out to communist China? And that even goes through even to when you want to talk about something like, I'm an anti-communist. That's why I don't support Putin working with Trump to eradicate ISIS, two alpha males. I'm against that because really at the end of the day, we see that I don't really trust Putin. He's really a commie. Well, you have such an aversion to communism, you have no problem selling out our nation to the trillions of dollars to communist China. So, or to this day, communist Vietnam with the TPP.
You got communist China there. They have issued a warning to the people of the United States, warning us against having Donald Trump is possibly our president. Now you got to understand that we're just after the Nevada caucus. China issued this warning, and you got to understand that they're viewing the entire world is watching this process that we go through, and they're seeing that Trump is starting to come out on top. And they will, just like any other liberal or leftist, they will tell you who they're afraid of. And right now, China's telling you that they're scared to death of Donald Trump being president. But with that said, now because I am fair and balanced, I get when you're talking about Ted Cruz doing the flip-flop thing, you got to take the Donald to task on this stuff too. And here's why it's more important with Donald, because Donald Trump's supposed flip-flops came much later in his life than it did with Ted Cruz. Let's face it, Donald Trump is 69 years old, and up until maybe about 10 years ago, you could not possibly say that Donald Trump was a Republican. So how does that all jive in the last 5 to 10 years that all of a sudden on a lot of the major stuff, he's now more conservative? We might buy that if he was 20 turning into his 30s, but we're saying, wait a minute, he was in his 50s turning into his 60s before he became a conservative? How does that work?
I'd like to speak to that. Say Donald Trump 10 years ago, 15 years ago was made the comment about being pro-choice, but pro-choice at the time. Well, how many of us at 5, 6, 7 years ago were like totally against gay marriage? It was so unpopular, gay marriage. Now, how many of us now support states' right to issue gay marriages? So we all adapt and change. I mean, seasons change, so we get more information. Our hearts, are not always in stone. We can change and be like, oh, I've been revealed a little more information on this organization. It's probably not my best benefit to support or encourage.
Well, I understand that, but let's be real and honest here. We're not talking about a 20-something coming out of college realizing for the first time that there's information that he didn't have because he's only 25 years old.
Right.
We're talking about a very successful international businessman that was 60 years old making the change.
Well, can I just add to that? I agree with you, and it's something that has to be addressed. But once again, when we address it, we have to both agree. We're throwing this ubiquitous word out there called conservative, and I think there's what we call a social conservative. There's the paleo conservatives, and then there is the economic conservatives. And you could say like Ayn Rand is an economic conservative. It's true. Ayn Rand is also an avowed atheist, or was. He's passed away. But I mean, when you're discussing economics of von Mises, Hayek, and all these people, yes, that is. If you want to define that, not in academic terms of being liberal and all this other stuff, but by today's definition, economically conservative. Yes, he always wasn't that. He went to Wharton School of Business. He's a businessman. He's a capitalist. He's an uber-capitalist. What I think you're referring to is that in his before he actually married and settled down like he is now, truly settled down, very stable. I think it's a fantastic family, a fantastic marriage. But that said, now he's got the boy, he's looking to his future, and now he becomes more socially conservative. But he was never a Bernie Sanders commie. He never was that type of liberal. And
no, he wasn't.
Noted, hey, look.
But he did donate to the Democrats. Even a couple years. He did. And as far as distinguishing what makes Donald Trump a Democrat or being liberal or having, well, you know what? It made a lot of sense to donate to Democrats or the Democrat Party, even if knowing he was going to be running for president and still making that. Let me give you an example. I'm going to give you an example of the contribution that he made to Hillary Clinton. Hillary's aides came, solicited him for a donation. What did he give? I don't know how much it was.
Can you hold that thought? Can you guys hold on to the break? I'm coming up against a hard break here.
Absolutely.
Can you hold on? Okay. We'll be, folks, we are talking with Adam and Edward out of Maine. And by the way, I wanted, when we get to this point, when we come back from the break, I want you to finish up your thought about Donald Trump. But you're from Maine, and I want you to be able to comment on your governor who's doing some pretty awesome things in Maine. We'll be right back, folks.
Your credit score is a joke, and you're too embarrassed to let anyone know your 3-digit score. Sucks to be you, but it doesn't have to. Delete all those unsightly derogatory items, collections, charge-offs, repossessions, judgments, tax liens, bankruptcies, and foreclosures. To turbo boost your credit scores, call 888-541-5571 or visit us at 700creditnow.com. You've heard the old adage, cash is king. But in some cases, credit can be just as powerful as cash. Not many people have $200,000 to put down on a house, or $50,000 to put down on a car, or $25,000 to put down in a business. But look around and you'll find that millions of Americans do have homes and cars all purchased with little to no money down. To turbo boost your credit scores, call 888-541-5571. Again, that's 888-541-5571. Or visit us at www.700creditnow.com.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-616-8010. That's 1-800-616-8010. Again, 1-800-616-8010. Call now.
Did you ever look at the stains in your coffee cup and then realize that's exactly what happens to your teeth? Power Swabs is the 5-minute solution to get your teeth white without visiting the dentist. This is Ben Gordon with Power Swabs, and if your teeth are stained from coffee, tea, or smoking, all it takes is 5 minutes with Power Swabs. In 5 minutes, you'll see an average of 2 shades whiter teeth, and in 7 days, 6 shades. It's clinically proven to whiten natural teeth as well as caps and veneers. The secret is a tooth detergent that was developed by Dr. Martin Ginniger that lifts stains off of your teeth. Best of all, there's no messy strips or trays that you have to leave in your mouth for an hour. Just swab your teeth for 5 minutes and you're done. To try Power Swabs risk-free, call 1-800-291-5140. That's 1-800-291-5140. I guarantee your bright white smile will have your friends talking about how great you look. Try it risk-free today. 1-800-291-5140. That's 1-800-291-5140.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
When you're ready to take the edge off a hectic day, I suggest you start with a little music from Franz Black.
I guess there's lots of ways to look at things that don't seem right.
No Worries has just been released on iTunes and Amazon.
It's gonna be alright.
You can find Franz Black and his music on his website, franzblack.com. Franz black.com.
It's gonna be alright.
Do you know the true history of African Americans before slavery? Coming to Austell, Georgia, Saturday, February the 27th, 2016, at the Riverside Epic Center, 135 Riverside Parkway. Black America, From Prophets to Pimps stage play. For more information, visit www.prophetstopimps.com or call 470-985-0992. Tickets on sale now.
And we are back, 603-835-3224. I am, of course, your lovable host, L. Rod, coming to you live from my bunkerized studio as we broadcast here on this Freedom Friday morning. We got a couple of guys from Maine on the line. We have Adam and Edward on the line here, and we've been talking about Donald Trump. And unfortunately, we had to go to a break, so I think I cut Edward off in mid-statement. So you want to continue with what you were making your point about Trump?
Well, it's a positive thing, but I think just very briefly, and then we'll go to Adam here. But I think that there's a difference between a social conservative and economic. And very briefly, I submit that Donald was always an economic conservative. He's an uber free capitalist like I am, and I think all of us are here. So that's all I really have to say on that.
And I had mentioned about the giving contributions to to Democrat candidates. I mean, it makes perfect sense when you have such business, domestically and international. It really makes a lot of sense to do that. And as far as like Hillary Clinton, because I hear so much about, oh, how dare Trump, have this? You went to his wedding. Well, the deal was pretty much along the lines of, okay, you can make a donation to it. You're not only going to have to make a donation to us, but you're going to have to say something nice about it. In addition, he went on the interview, said some nice things about the Clintons, and he says, okay, well, I'll give you money and I'll say some nice things and all this. He says, but you got to come to my wedding. What a nice wedding it was too. Not because Hillary Clinton was in the audience, but because of who Donald Trump is, the many successes, and what he's done for this country and for what he's done for business in general, as far as being a real model.
I would have to agree. Donald Trump is an ultra capitalist, and let's face it. I've admitted this before. Donald Trump has been my business and economic hero since the '80s. I've been following him since then, and I fully a lot of people probably don't understand how it works, but I fully understand how it works, and I make sure that my listeners do too, that it doesn't matter who the businessman is. Most of them, in fact, almost all of them, they donate to both sides because they're businessmen and they have to survive. Their business has to survive. And here's a little bit of history, a little bit of shocking history to some people out there. Look, the Koch brothers, the consummate libertarians, they've donated to Democratic candidates in the past because it's what they have to do in order to survive in this type of a political climate in this country. It's and this is not just the United States, by the way. This is all over the world. Business people, especially the really successful ones, the multi-millionaires and the billionaires of the world, they have to pay their fees to play, as it were, to both sides. And Donald Trump was no different. He understood how to play the game. I get that.
This speaks to the threat, the threat, that China issued after the Nevada caucus, as far as their worry and concerns about Donald Trump, is because of that capitalism, success that he's done. No other candidate spoke of China prior to Donald Trump as far as presidential candidates. Nobody talked about the outsourcing of jobs and the currency manipulation. There's no stronger advocate of those very important issues than Donald Trump.
I will say that some people think that Donald's got to stick up his butt for China, but I got to tell you something. Donald Trump, because he's a consummate capitalist, he is about playing the game on a fair and equal level, and he cannot stand when somebody gets an unfair advantage over somebody else. That is going all the way back to when he first started in New York City, when he went on his own and split from his father and went on his own. He was always talking about people having an unfair advantage. That is something about Donald that is not new. So when he says that he's going to stand up against China, I believe him because he's always been about fair, because he wants to beat you, but he wants to beat you on a fair level, and he's going to say, I really beat you.
That's right. And no other candidate knows that more well than Donald Trump. I mean, Cruz doesn't know that, and Rubio and the other candidates aren't really hip to that. They've been in a different lifestyle. So they're not as keen on the importance. Maybe they should know the effects that it has on our country, but what in the heck are they going to do about it? I'm going to put my support by Donald Trump on that one.
Now, Donald is also one about, and correct me if I'm wrong, but he's one that believes in giving opportunity to everyone and not giving them a handout for nothing.
Well, that's right. It makes sense to give an opportunity to China too. If we got an extra Thai company we could do a lot of things for China, but it has to be on a level playing field. And a tie made in China. Well, I'm wearing a Hanes T-shirt that was made in Dominican Republic. So this is the nature of the system that we live under, as far as having these. He says, how many times did he say, why didn't you make the tie in America? Make them in America. Make them in America. Well, good luck with that. Make a computer in America while you're at it. Make a sheet of paper in America while you're at it. And
one of the interesting things that Americans don't realize is that, VCRs, VHS are no longer in vogue. In fact, you'd be hard-pressed to find one. But at the time, America invented the videotape recorder, the VHS.
Right.
The home video recorder, it started back in the late 60s, early 70s with those giant machines that you found in school. And every time you saw that cart in your classroom, you knew you were going to have movie time or something. And all the kids are like, yay, movie time. But those things were giant. But that was invented in America. By the 90s, we were there. You would be hard-pressed to find any company other than Go Video that was making those machines in the United States. And the problem with Go Video was that deck that had the dual deck, so you could record from one video to another tape, from one tape to another, and it was in one deck. But they actually had to license that technology that Americans invented back from Japanese companies in order to make that machine here. And the Japanese companies did not want them to make that machine at all. So that's why the Go Video machine was 3 times the price of any other VCR. You could have just gone out and bought 2 VCRs for less than the price of the Go Video machine. But this is one of the things I know that Donald Trump is all about. But he wants to make sure that people have opportunity. By the same token, this is what's happening up in Maine in a very successful way. that the left is up in arms about. But Governor LePage has done something in that state, which is not exactly a conservative state, although I think he's starting to swing the state back from the liberal hands back towards more conservative hands. But he got into office, and he started doing some of the things that he promised on the trail that he was on the campaign trail he was going to do, such as bring down some of the bloated state bureaucracy. And one area that he was highly successful in, and I've heard him say that he kind of contributes this type of thought process to certain business people, including Trump, by the way. He basically forced a lot of people off the welfare rolls. He basically said, if you're going to be on welfare and you're not a single mom supporting kids, if you're an able-bodied individual, you've got to do some kind of work. Either you got to go to school, go to job training, or do simplistic, just 6 hours a week of public service.
Work ethic, I do believe, is very, very, very important. But on a larger scale, and you brought this up, I'd like to tie this in, what you're saying now, with something you just recently said, I think was we started out with the VCRs, et cetera, et cetera. Back, when America had a patriotic core, we had a Department of Defense. We had, as you probably, some people may not remember, we had Bell Labs, which got privatized into Lucent, which got sold out, and then and on and on and on, where the method of making money in America became something that a lawyer and a stockbroker did. In other words, Henry Ford learned that if he produced something, he produced a widget, he produced a car, he created wealth for himself and as a byproduct through the capitalist system for other people too, which is wonderful. What they have done later on after, during the 70s merging into the 80s was I could just make money juxtaposing things around of how I view them on a computer screen, and I could make money with intellectual capital. So what they have done is they take dual-use military technology, and then some of the companies privatize that into intellectual property and offshored that overseas where nothing was made but licenses, copyright fees, patents, not even technology transfers, and they transferred the wealth of our industrial base. Talking about wealth transfer, they have transferred the wealth of our industrial base that came from World War II onwards, and they offshored it to the third world. And in the process, as H. Ross Perot said at the time, something's wrong when 100,000 people lose their jobs, factories close down, and the stock market goes up. He could read more about it with I don't want to put a free plug in but with all the books written by Patrick Buchanan. The fact is we deindustrialized. And in the process of deindustrializing, we got money up front, but it really wasn't our money. It was borrowed money from the Fed. It's like I tell people when they go to Walmart or some other store and they buy a pair of shoes and they pay $50 or $100 or $20 for those shoes, that's not the price of the shoes. The price of those shoes is they transfer the U.S. dollars, and it's bought up by China as a treasury bill with a 37% long-term interest payment on it. We're paying. Yes, we get the cash now, but as a nation and as a company, we are bankrupting ourselves. We're not paying the debt. It's just like if you just went and made minimum payments on your credit card for everything you ever bought in your life. You couldn't afford it 2 years later. You'd be beyond bankrupt. And so we have to have a national economic policy.
Now, Cruz is big on saying that he's going to audit the Fed. Do you think Trump would do that?
Audit the Fed, I think, I'm not talking my expertise. Cruz says a lot. But if you want to know the difference, I don't want to knock Cruz because he's not I don't want to paint him as the villain. I just don't feel as comfortable with him. That's why I support Trump. But in order not to lambaste or say something negative about Cruz, I just say this. Any politician other than Trump, let's take this instance of the wall. I don't want to sidestep your question, but to give it a general feeling about it, all of a sudden now, Johnny-come-lately, Cruz now wants to build the wall. Let's be fair. He didn't want it before. Now he's for it. Or now he's for the wall. let's say he's genuinely want for the wall, and you ask me, you really think he's for the wall? Let's say he is. Not just Cruz, what person in the world is going to be able to physically build that wall, cut through all the red tape, understand how business works, kick butt, and make it happen? No one else but Donald Trump. So if these guys are for something or against it, that's one thing. That's a political statement. Who can make it happen? And I would submit that it takes a guy like Donald Trump, with the businessman, with the acumen, knowing how to get stuff done in rough and tumble New York City, to actually make things work. The question isn't who's for something and who's against it. Who can get it done, and who has the resolve and the skills and the experience?
Eddie, I think a lot of, yes, and I agree. I think a lot of the people are asking that about when they're looking at Bernie Sanders or Donald Trump, and I've met a lot of people who have voted for Romney and voted for Obama in the last election cycle, and now are like, yeah, I like Bernie, I like Trump. He's like, I'm undecided. It's like, I'm going to have to see this thing play out. And the people asking, looking at that, needs to ask themselves, who's going to be able to execute when it comes time to it? I mean, being ready on day one. It's a nice punchline. It don't always happen on day one. It takes time. It takes leadership. It takes bringing in a lot of good people who don't have these, who aren't. It goes back to the special interests and stuff, and that's really what's running these campaigns.
Well, there's going to be huge special interests in the Fed, and we have to understand that the Fed is actually an American bank, basically run by international interests. So you're talking about now. Anytime anybody says it about auditing the Fed, they never get anywhere, politically speaking. You know, look at Ron Paul said it, Rand Paul said it, but Cruz is the only one that has said it that is getting anywhere. And I got to tell you, I haven't heard the Donald talk about auditing the Fed. So
no, but to talk, you said mention on your earlier point as far as shrinking government. Yeah, that all sounds. That's probably consensus on shrinking the government a little bit. But who's going to get in there and limit the government on the policies, who's going to limit the government, who's going to limit the government bureaucracy? That government does great things at certain things, but there's many things that they have their hand in and have control of. They have absolutely no business. I know that doesn't speak to auditing the Fed. I would say any president that has an ambition to do that, I wish them the best of luck. And it's not going to be so easy. But if that can be done, it can be done by Donald Trump. Because he's been audited annually, well, the last 10 years that I know of. Who knows more about taxes and audit and economics than Donald Trump and company?
Well, that is true, and you know what? It's as far as the wall is concerned. By the way, you know, we've already had money set aside to build most. I think we've had enough money that was set aside or geared towards building about 90% of the wall so far, the wall and fence on the southern border. The problem is, believe it or not, is not just the lack of will of Congress to make sure that it gets done, but it's also because of a particular department that Donald says he wants to get rid of. The EPA has blocked much of that wall being built on environmental concerns. Go look it up, folks. Google it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and they use as excuse some toads in the middle of the way. Therefore, yeah, exactly. I share your point of view on the wall, and I share your point of view on the Fed. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to stick up for Donald because I don't know about his point on auditing the Fed. But I'm a Ron Paulite when it comes to the Fed. Absolutely.
Yeah, and building the wall, as far as you have to weigh out. Okay, what's worse? Is it EPA standards or is it the illegal immigrants that come in and they do commit crimes? Some are rapists. Maybe they weren't always, maybe for whatever reason. Some people are murderers who despise our country and want to sneak in our country and take us down maybe to their level. They want they want to be able to relate. We don't have nowhere else to go. We don't have a country to go back home to. This is our home. to protect it and have it secured. How many years ago was it that there was bipartisan support on a wall? For
now all of a sudden there's not.
Between the EPA, the geopolitics and money, by the way, kept that from happening. And now we're talking about it again, and just because it's proposed by Donald Trump in the context that he proposed that wall, well, it's just the worst thing we could ever do.
It's the worst thing. All right, guys, 60 seconds. Your personal reasons why you're supporting Donald.
I'll let you go first, Eddie.
Oh, I don't have much to add more. I just want to say that it's not that I don't agree with some of these other people and their comments. I just feel that Donald is genuine, real, and he has the competence to get it done, and that he is a true conservative, particularly on a fiscal basis. And I don't really have much more to add, except that it was an honor to be on your show.
The reason I support Donald Trump is because I've known him since I was about 10 or 11, probably ever since they were dragging him and his beautiful wife through the papers. And I've been able to relate with them so much over the years as a small business owner myself. I've taken a lot of advice from him and have done well. And really what it boils down to for me and my support for Donald Trump is our differences. And the difference that me and Donald Trump holds is that I make about $40,000 a year, and he makes about $400 million a year. That's our biggest difference, and that's why I'm supporting Donald Trump.
All right, guys, thank you very much. Adam and Edward, a couple of Mainers, I'm guessing, that are for Donald Trump. Guys, it's been a pleasure having you on. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Well, folks, there you have it. There's another, look, you got some more. If you haven't made up your mind yet, there's some more meat for you, or grizzle for you to chew on, to try to help you figure out, make up your mind. Because I know Super Tuesday is coming up. Speaking of Super Tuesday, by the way, we are going to be doing a special program here Tuesday evening. That's right, this Tuesday evening. And that is March 1st on Super Tuesday at 8. We're going to be doing a special hour, 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, we'll still have the regular show, 9 to noon, 9 a.m. to noon, that Tuesday morning. It's going to be a busy day for me. Another one of those election days. And of course, my plan is to be with the right group here in Manchester, New Hampshire, between 4 and 6 on 90.7 FM on the FM dial in Manchester, New Hampshire, New Hampshire Family Radio. I'll get back to the bunkerized studio and fire up the microphone for about an hour, doing a special on the Super Tuesday stuff. If you don't like listening to the pundits over there on any of the four majors, well, tune in here, 8 to 9 p.m. Because I will do my best again to be fair and balanced. Again, look, as I have said many times before, I like all of the candidates, well, most of them, but I have major issues with every one of them. And my major issues have not been dissuaded at all from last night's debate. I still have those same issues. So now, a couple of the candidates have added some issues. If you listened yesterday, you heard me kind of go off on Rubio about some things, and I look. It's maybe he did not mean for what he said. Maybe he didn't mean for it to sound the way it sounded. I can give him that benefit of the doubt, but I'm not walking back my statements on him. If he truly, honestly believes what he said about a brokered convention, then there is no way in hell that this young man deserves to get the nomination or should be president of these United States, period. Now, if he wants to explain in further detail, and I've heard other people trying to explain what he said, and I'm telling you, it is a bunch of BS while they're trying to explain it. He said what he said, period. Now, I fully understand that and look, I even heard Hannity yesterday talking about, well, in certain circumstances, he's kind of right about, just because you win the most, you don't get nominated by winning the most states. Well,
That's not what he meant. And Hannity knows it. And you know what? I'm getting a little tired of these people, trying to placate one candidate or another. I'm not going to do that. He said what he said. He hasn't explained it in a way since then that would actually make Hannity right. Because what he said that day about you don't get to, just because you win the most states doesn't mean you get to the nomination. And if you pair that with statements that he's made previous to that about even possibly having a brokered convention, you know exactly what he meant and what he inferred. And I'm standing, to me, that is anti-constitutional. Because it takes the power out of the hands of you and me, the voter, the American people, the people who are supposed to be the government. That's no better than being a liberal or like Bernie Sanders. Going out there on TV and having commercials stating that, these companies have got to follow the rules of our president. That's a bunch of BS. The president does not have any rules. The president is not a dictator. He's not a benevolent king or emperor. He's an executive. He's the chief executive of the United States, period. And every chief executive has a board to answer to. And in this particular case, the board is the American people, not the president himself. And so some people say I might be a little bit harsh. Well, hell yeah, I'm going to be harsh. Because this is no time to be playing tiddlywinks here, folks. This is serious business. It is ultra serious, and we've got a country that we have to worry about saving because it is going to hell in a handbasket. And I don't know, some people believe that Trump is going to be our savior temporarily for 4 or 8 years. I think it's only going to be 4 years if he's elected. And who's ever vice president, they might be the president after him. So we're going to see. We'll be back.
Give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Sign him up for the Box of Bait Club and he'll never be hungry again. The Box of Bait Club is a brand new dream come true for every fisherman. Something new and different in your tackle box every month. Every month, another excuse to get outside and do what you love. Don't let this one get away. The Box of Bait Club is currently accepting a limited number of pre-orders with subscriptions starting at $39.95 per month. Find out more now. Log on to boxofbaitclub.com.
I'm just so happy my father had a chance to see his kids before he passed. I just want to say thank you.
When her father fell ill, the American Red Cross was able to help get Veronica's brother home from the Navy to speak to his father one last time. It's thanks to your donations that we can connect military families when they need it most. Please donate today at redcross.org.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-616-8010. That's 1-800-616-8010. Again, 1-800-616-8010. Call now.
Attention business owners. We know that owning a business means getting things done right now. So if your right now list includes a new building, call the Right Now Company. General Steel. We can design a building for your business quickly and save you thousands of dollars. That's right, thousands. You may think General Steel only builds large projects or that you can't afford General Steel quality. Well, check these prices. How about a 40 by 60 foot building for under $22,000? Or even a 50 by 100 for under $35,000? That's right, a 5,000 square foot building for under $35,000. And these buildings all have General Steel quality. Best of all, you can still order a building and have it delivered in time to build this year. How's that for right now? So if your right now list includes a new building, call the Right Now Company. General Steel.
800-393-5756. 800-393-5756. 800-393-5756. That's 800-393-5756.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
Boy, man, I had a rough night's sleep. Boy, I got a letter from the IRS yesterday, and I just couldn't sleep. Man, I'm dying here. Somebody help me.
IRS problems affect more than just your finances. If you're ready to take back control of your life and you owe more than $10,000, you need to call the tax doctor. Their expert staff can immediately protect you from the IRS and state collectors and get you the best possible tax settlement guaranteed. The IRS has recently released new programs geared in helping struggling taxpayers, where you may qualify to settle your tax debt and wipe out up to 85% or more of what you currently owe. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, call the tax doctor right now. See if you qualify to pay less. 800-989-1694. 800-989-1694. 800-989-1694. Again, 800-989-1694.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. We leave no warrior behind. Wounded Warrior Project is a non-profit organization created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war. Whether those scars are physical or mental, we're here to make sure that they heal. And whether it's helping those with post-traumatic stress disorder live a normal life again, or giving much-needed support to injured warriors in veterans' hospitals. Because no one deserves our help more than the men and women who risk their lives to keep us safe. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge. For hour number 3, the fastest 3 hours on Internet Talk Radio is right here on the Rod Eccles Show as we groove into the groove, or cruise into the groove, and that's no, adage to Mr. Cruise. Yes, indeed, that sound means that it is none other than Freedom Friday here on the Rod Eccles Show. You can call 603-835-3224 to be a part of the madness if you want, as we get ready to slide on into the weekend and celebrate what freedom that we have left. To understand that you need to do that because you never know when it's going to end up going away. That's just the way freedom can be fickle if you don't pay attention to it and
make sure that it stays where it is in the hands of the free. Freedom is like a bird; it can fly away if you don't take care of it, right? If you open the cage and you let predators in, well, then your bird is going to do what it possibly can to survive and fly away. And that's the same with freedom. If we let all these supposedly wonderful people into the bird cage, Bernie Sanders, Hillary Clinton, most Democrats, and most of the GOP insiders, then freedom is going to escape the cage and the bird cage and fly away. And now I know some people are saying, well, why would you use a cage, Rod? Because freedom is not free, people. There is a price that has to be paid for it, and it's not just what you think it is. A lot of people think, well, it's just blood on the battlefield. That's what you pay. No, it's not just the soldier who's paying a price on a daily basis to make sure that we're free. We all have to pay that price. We all have to be on guard and keep that door or that gate closed, gate to the cage closed, so that people can't get into. Predators can't get into to try to eat it. It's kind of like the fox in the hen house. I've made this analogy before. The United States, by electing the people that we've elected and reelected, we haven't let the fox into the hen house. We let the pack of wolves into the hen house. And right now, those wolves are wreaking havoc in the hen house. And frankly, if we don't kick the wolves out of that hen house, those hens are not going to stay in that hen house for too much longer. They're going to find the door, they're going to find that open gate, and they're going to escape. And then we are going to end up being like all the failed socialistic and communistic countries of history. That is exactly how we're going to be. It may sound dire, but that's how important I believe this whole issue is, and that we've got to make sure that we are electing the proper people who are going to actually have our best interests at heart, not just their own. And to say that, to demand that somebody doesn't have their own interests at heart, we're all human beings. That's not possible. It takes a really special person to be completely and utterly selfless. Of course there's going to be some, because look, every human being that has ever been in that White House from president has had their own family. They've had people, they may not want to do things, that are going to harm other people, and they may want to make sure that they do things that are going to benefit other people. But at the same time, they also want you have to understand that they want to do things that benefit the people that they personally know and love. That's just a natural human reaction. You want the best for your own. Now, people take many different roads in order to achieve the best for their own. And some people try to achieve the best for their own in spite of everybody else out there. They say, the hell, it's kind of like the old kings and queens of Europe. They basically say, the hell with the paupers. I want my family and my loved ones to be well taken care of. And you've had some presidents that have thought that, the hell with the American people. I just want my family, those I care about, to be well taken care of. And you've got some presidents who thought, well, if I do take care of everybody else, then my family is going to be well taken care of. I mean, there are different mentalities in that. But make no mistake about it, each and every one of them comes from a selfish point of view of self-preservation. That's only natural, and you can't blame people for that. Any case, 603-835-3224. USA Today has a story here that I find quite amazing. And it's amazing in the fact that it's talking about one of the United States' enemies. I know some people like to say that call China a frenemy. And you have to know what a frenemy is. Do you know what a frenemy is? A frenemy is simply somebody who pretends to be your friend, but is really your enemy. And that would be the case of China, which is why, you hear some of the politicos and some of the people on the political trail or the campaign trail talking about China. Now, frankly, most politicians want to try to ignore the issue of China in the public square. China's a very touchy situation. I mean, just think about it. Think about everything that's happened since the Clintons with China in this country. We've got story after story after story about Chinese companies buying up American companies. Well, the reality is when you dig deeper into many, not all, but many of these so-called Chinese companies, we find they're nothing more than holding companies or partnered companies. And the partner for those Chinese companies is none other than the People's Red Army. And that's a problem because it means that we're giving China we're giving the Chinese military our money to be able to build the Chinese military. And that's a problem. You're building. Not only you're building another country's military, and we've always, we've had people here left and right talk about how we should stop paying for the defense of Europe. We shouldn't be the military for Europe. Okay, I wholeheartedly agree, but at the same time, they want to be so open to China. When we're doing worse than being the military for Europe, with China, we're helping them to build their military to defeat us in the field of battle. We always talk about, well, look, we gave all these war weapons or war toys to Saddam Hussein and to Iran, before the Ayatollah Khomeini took over in 79, 80. We talk about all this kind of stuff. We're giving them weapons, and we have to go on the battlefield and destroy the weapons that we gave them or sold them. Well, okay, if you're going to complain about that, why aren't you complaining about letting China into this country with such veracity? I mean, they're trying to gobble up things left and right. Why? Because it's profitable for them. And why? Because they're taking that profit, turning around, and that's helping to supply the capital needed to build and maintain the world's largest air force, the world's largest ground army, and to help build the world's largest navy. Sorry, look, I pointed this. Now, you can always say that, well, Rod, you've always said that it's going to be inevitable because they got 1.2 billion people, and we only got 300 million. I get it that they're 4 times the size we are. But here's the problem. With all of those companies that they're buying up, so goes their technology, their know-how. So at some point, just simply because you have numbers doesn't mean that you can win. Simply because even though they have the world's largest operational air force, we at one point could still shoot down out of the sky like 10 or 15 of their jets for every one of ours. Well, that number is changing and that ratio is diminishing. And at some point it is going to flip where we don't have the advantage. So in other words, we've gone to saying, okay, for every one of our planes that they shoot down, we shoot down 15 of theirs. Well, that used to be the case. Now they're developing technology and aircraft that can survive in battle. And so now that ratio of 1 to 15 is now down to 1. It's been halved, 1 in 7. Now, if they outnumber our planes, if their planes outnumber our planes, there is a certain point you have to do the math, and you can't do the new math. You can't do all this other kind of garbage math that's out there. Common Core math. You've got to do real math. So let me make it simplistic for people. If China has 4 times the amount of aircraft we do, say we have 1 million planes. We don't. But let's just say, we're just using million numbers to make it easy. We have 1 million planes. And they have 4 million planes. But for every one of their planes that shoot ours down, we can shoot down 5 of theirs. So that basically means that they only have 4 million planes. They need 5 million planes in order for them to become even with us. But they've only got 4 million. So we'll win because we'll outlast them. Now they get technology from the United States by buying up U.S. companies and through other means. So now they get that number from 1 to 5 down to 1 to 4. Now it's a stalemate. In other words, the last 2 planes in the sky, one's American, one's Chinese, and they shoot each other down and everybody's done. It's a stalemate. Nobody wins. But then they buy up more companies, get more technology, and now they've got that number down to 1 to 3. Well, they've got 4 million planes. We've only got 1 million. That means we can only shoot down 3 million of their jets with 1 million of ours. They still have 1 million left. Guess who wins? That's what China is doing now. They're using sheer numbers along with technology to change the odds in their favor. That's the one thing that Donald Trump and to maybe a lesser degree, Ted Cruz seems to understand. It's the one thing that I don't hear any of the other candidates, including Dr. Carson, not completely seem to understand this. They haven't shown me or said anything to make me think that they fully understand it. And look, I'm not even in Washington, D.C., and I understand it. It's really not that difficult. And with that, we got our frenemy out there, China, and they're only being friends so they can infiltrate our company and steal our technology. But this whole, the whole notion. I used to think, like some people thought, if you get everybody in bed together with each other in business, nobody's going to want to attack each other. Well, we can see that has been proven a myth. It's a myth. That is not true at all. If you think that China is not going to attack a country that it holds a lot of its debt, securities for, or has a lot of business interest in, look what Russia did to Ukraine. Russia's got a lot of investment in Ukraine, but they still attacked it in Crimea. So if at some point they view that taking over that piece of land or that nation far outweighs, or if that's been their goal all along, far outweighs their current investment, then they're not going to care about their investment. I mean, Venezuela had a lot of American companies down there, especially oil. You think Venezuela cared about that? Oh, no. We can't. They've got a lot invested down here. We're heavily invested in them and blah. So we can't really do anything negative. No, they took over the entire oil industry. And by the way, the United States did absolutely nothing about it. Nothing. So when I look at this headline in USA Today, some people might be scratching their head, and I'm just thinking, it just continues the story and just proves my point. You won't believe where some people, some companies, like Australian sportswear brand Rip Curl, are having their products manufactured. $300 ski jackets and more. Now, Rip Curl has made a public apology this week after it emerged that some of its ski gear had been made in one of North Korea's state-owned factories. Some of the world's worst places to work, whose profits help prop up one of the most abusive regimes. The leisure wear destined to insulate snowboarding Westerners for $300 plus a pop was labeled made in China before it made its way to retailers. Now, I'm sorry, I do not understand how you do not know where your stuff is being manufactured. Do you not visit the factory? This is one of the things I have an issue with on Shark Tank when they always talk about, well, we can get this manufactured overseas, offshore. Look, I understand they're all about business, but at some point you got to say, hold on now. Are we sure where this stuff is actually being made where they say it is? Are we actually going to go over there and look? How do you not know that your $300 jacket is not being made in a sweatshop in China, but being made in an even worse and cheaper sweatshop in North Korea? And really, with that said, how do you think that actually is allowed to happen? Do you think you would think China would step in if they were so, trying to control North Korea? You think they would step in and say, no, you can't do that? Oh, hell no. It's because China is looking at us with a smile on their face saying, look, the North Korea is all by itself. We can't really control them. While they have their hand, up the shirt as a puppet master for North Korea. Trust me, if China wanted to control North Korea, they could get them in line in less than a day. Sir, are you honestly going to tell me that the massive population of 1.2 billion people, with the world's largest air force, the world's largest standing army, building the world's largest navy, the world's second largest economic engine, that has a political power and political will that is second to none on this planet, and you're telling me that they cannot control the little itty-bitty backwater nation of North Korea? China would not even have to flinch in order to take them out. Do you understand what I'm saying? And yet they have the whole world believing that they cannot control North Korea. Folks, if you believe that, many of our politicians seem to have bought that hook, line, and sinker. I just put it in perspective for you. You've got a nation whose general population basically starves half the year, but their military is well fed. You've got a nation that doesn't seem to have enough money and is always crying about, needing more aid, but they've got money to put into trying to learn about technology, about nuclear weapons and intercontinental ballistic missiles, ICBMs, all that kind of stuff, which takes a hell of a lot of money to do, even in a backwater country like that. Takes a lot of money. Yet they can't feed their own people, and they're crying for international financial help all the time, but yet they're making $300 ski jackets for a company. And they keep blustering about war against the United States and South Korea, and China's over there saying, well, we can't really control them. Are you kidding me? I don't buy that for a second. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised at all, and this is probably the case, if China isn't like poking the bear, saying, do this, say this, do this, say this, we won't do anything against you. But do this and say this so the West will pay attention to you. And take the eyes off of you. Be our bad guy. If you stay our bad guy, we'll take care of you. And frankly, China is taking care of that regime by helping to keep their army well-fed and well-fueled. Remember, again, this is a country that says they don't have any money. They don't have any money because of the evil West. But somehow they have enough money to keep all of that military equipment functioning and working and powered up. Where do you think they're getting that? Well, I guess maybe one way is by secretly, quote unquote, manufacturing goods and service or products and services for Western companies. And these Western companies are going to say, well, we didn't know. I'm not buying that either. There's something to be said about I fully understand about wanting to diversify and helping other countries build up their economy so they can become customers of your product or service. I fully get it. But at the same time, you have to understand that that your own base, your own nation is more important than anything else. Because if you lose selling to your own base, if they can't afford to buy your product or service, you're not going to be able to go overseas all the time and sell it over there. So if we got a bunch of people in the United States who can't afford to buy their products and services here, then what good is it? If Apple can't sell an iPhone here in the United States because nobody can afford it, then how long is it going to be before they're not profitable and go out of business? Not very long. Because let's face it, if you're an international company, and understand, this is where Donald Trump understands business right now. If you are an international company based in the United States, everything that you make in the United States, that you earn in the United States, you sell in the United States, pays all of your bills. It pays your overhead. Everything that you're able to make and sell outside of the United States, that's pure profit. Because everything is being paid for by being sold here. If you take out that competitive edge by wiping out your base so you can't pay for your bills with what you sell here, that means you got to take away from your profit from overseas, which becomes very expensive, and your profits go through the basement floor, and you end up going out of business. That's business 101, folks. I don't know how else to say it, or why to say it, but that's business 101. And if you don't understand business 101 and understand who your frenemies are from your friends and your enemies, then you've got a real problem. And I don't think many in Washington, D.C. even want to know or care who our frenemies are, because they think that they're being paid from overseas. But what they do not realize is that they're getting rid of the base, their home base, which is paying all of their bills. So at some point, all of their bills are not going to be paid, so they're going to have to start taking that money from overseas to pay the bills, and the overseas is going to say, no, we're going to call in our chips and call it a day. You're done. Don't doubt me.
Your credit score is a joke, and you're too embarrassed to let anyone know your 3-digit score. Sucks to be you, but it doesn't have to. Delete all those unsightly derogatory items, collections, charge-offs, repossessions, judgments, tax liens, bankruptcies, and foreclosures. To turbo boost your credit scores, call 888-541-5571 or visit us at 700creditnow.com. You've heard the old adage, cash is king. But in some cases, credit can be just as powerful as cash. Not many people have $200,000 to put down on a house, or $50,000 to put down on a car, or $25,000 to put down in a business. But look around and you'll find that millions of Americans do have homes and cars, all purchased with little to no money down. To turbo boost your credit scores, call 888-541-5571. Again, that's 888-541-5571. Or visit us at www.700creditnow.com.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-616-8010. That's 1-800-616-8010. Again, 1-800-616-8010. Call now.
Did you ever look at the stains in your coffee cup and then realize that's exactly what happens to your teeth? Power Swabs is the 5-minute solution to get your teeth white without visiting the dentist. This is Ben Gordon with Power Swabs, and if your teeth are stained from coffee, tea, or smoking, all it takes is 5 minutes with Power Swabs. In 5 minutes, you'll see an average of 2 shades whiter teeth, and in 7 days, 6 shades. It's clinically proven to whiten natural teeth as well as caps and veneers. The secret is a tooth detergent that was developed by Dr. Martin Ginniger that lifts stains off of your teeth. Best of all, there's no messy strips or trays that you have to leave in your mouth for an hour. Just swab your teeth for 5 minutes and you're done. To try Power Swabs risk-free, call 1-800-291-5140. That's 1-800-291-5140. I guarantee your bright white smile will have your friends talking about how great you look. Try it risk-free today. 1-800-291-5140. That's 1-800-291-5140.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
When you're ready to take the edge off a hectic day, I suggest you start with a little music from Franz Black.
I guess there's lots of ways to look at things that don't seem right.
No Worries has just been released on iTunes and Amazon.
It's gonna be alright.
You can find Franz Black and his music on his website, friendsblack.com. F-R-A-N-Z black.com.
It's gonna be alright.
Do you know the true history of African Americans before slavery? Come into Austell, Georgia, Saturday, February the 27th, 2016, at the Riverside Epic Center, 135 Riverside Parkway. Black America, From Prophets to Pimps stage play. For more information, visit www.prophetstopimps.com or call 470-985-0992. Tickets on sale now.
And we are back into the home stretch. And here we go. Yes, indeed, we are back. 603-835-3224 is the number to call should you wish to join me here live on the Rod Eccles Show on this Freedom Friday. By the way, just to make people who like feeling old, if you want to feel old, did you know, and I did not know, well, I didn't realize it, that the old pinup 60s and 70s pinup girl, the supermodel of the day, Cheryl Tiegs. She's 68 years old. She still looks good, but she's 60 freaking 8. Talk about, hey, even celebrities, time does not stop or slow down for anyone. But look, if she were still living, Farrah Fawcett, would be in her late 60s right now as well. Do you realize that Farrah Fawcett in the 70s, Farrah Fawcett to this day still has the number one selling poster of all time. And if you see that Farrah Fawcett, everybody knows that Farrah Fawcett poster. I mean, that particular shot, that pose of hers that was put on a poster, was on everything. It was on, mugs. It was on, ties, calendars. But that poster is still the all-time poster seller. I do believe. If that were taken today, if that were into, that the equivalent of the 70s being brought forth into 2016, that poster today would have that picture on mouse pads, even and screensavers. You could probably still get that picture as a screensaver, by the way. But think about it. It was that prevalent back then, and if you bring that today, what are the products that we use today that are so prevalent? Well, she'd probably be on one of those phone cozies, the phone protectors, your phone cases, cell phone, smartphone cases. Probably that picture would probably be on a cell phone case today, if it were happening today instead of back in the 70s. But yeah, look, there's no stopping it, and just it is what it is, as I always say. But Cheryl Tiegs is 68. Now, today is not her birthday. There was just a useless story out there about her, and it just revealed her age. And I was reading the story, and I'm thinking, Cheryl Tiegs is 68? And I just thought I'd share that with you to help make those of you who already feel old to really feel old. Look, why should I be the only one to feel old? I get it. Misery loves company, right? So there you go. She's 68. By the way, if you're in the market for a glamorous car, a supercar, sports car, I know where you can probably get one for real cheap. Now, I'm not exactly sure if it'll be considered stealing. It might be. I don't know. But Gleems.com, Gleems, is reporting that there is a parking lot area that is full of abandoned supercars. And it's all over this city. Abandoned supercars are all over this place. Now, I don't know how the only reason I can think of that maybe they're abandoned is because obviously this country is in the Middle East, and maybe the owners of them went to fight for ISIS or Al-Qaeda and they got killed. But if you go to Dubai, that's right, Dubai, it would seem that the glut of abandoned supercars littering the streets and airport car parks of Dubai are the result of locals and expats fleeing the country due to extreme anti-debt laws. I think it's other things, but under Sharia law, observed across the Middle East, non-payment of debt is a criminal offense, and the UAE has no bankruptcy laws. There is no protection for those going into debt, even if they accidentally get into debt. There have even been cases of foreigners being prevented from leaving the Emirates after being blacklisted for simply missing a credit card payment. Last year, over 3,000 luxury cars were found to be abandoned in Dubai. If you owe some bills, why not sell the car to pay your bills? So instead, you take off and leave the car there. Now, these cars are left by expats and even locals skipping out of the country because of illegal debt, most often missing payments on the cars themselves. And I guess you can't turn the cars in, I suppose. But yeah, there's all kinds of supercars and extreme luxury cars. So I don't know, maybe there might be a business venture there in cleaning up Dubai of these abandoned supercars. I'm just, hey, if you want to go over there, I offer and make up all these wonderful business ideas, and I don't want much for them. I just say, pay me a 1% royalty for it, please. If I got 1% royalty from all the business ideas that I have brought forth on this program alone, I would be a multi-millionaire. Plain and simple, I would be. Just because I'm just that good coming up with ideas. Well, then there's one right there. You got 3,000 cars just to start off with. Can you imagine 3,000 cars? Answers.com has got something interesting, and I'm not going to go through all 12, but there are 12 believed misconceptions that just aren't true about the United States. One of them is the immigration at Ellis Island didn't give people names. People believe that Ellis Island didn't. Many families claim that their names were changed when they arrived at Ellis Island, but this wasn't the case. Actually, factually, this is the case. I don't know. Why are we trying to rewrite history? If you actually look at the books of people coming into the country at Ellis Island, and people have gone through these things, you will see that they did change these people's names. They Americanized some of them. Now, granted, it wasn't always the case of the immigration officer doing the name changing. Sometimes the people themselves, much like in the let me give you the case of Schmidt. A lot of people whose names in this country are Smith, if you trace it back just a few generations, it's really Schmidt. But because of World War I and World War II, a lot of people didn't want to have German-sounding names. So they changed it to Smith. At the same time, there were a lot of people coming across in Ellis Island where the immigration officers could not pronounce or spell the foreigner's immigrant's name. And they did use the simple name Smith. And there are people that have found this out by doing research on their family tree. So even when you go to places that are supposed to know these answers, like Answers.com, they still get it wrong. But they're getting it wrong for a political reason. And I don't care if it's, a political reason for the right or the left. It's still wrong. They're trying to rewrite history. The facts are that when people came through Ellis Island and through other places to immigrate legally to this country, many of them, not all of them, and not an overwhelming majority, but a lot of them either self-changed their name or did have their name changed by the immigration officer. And all you got to do is look at the books that they wrote all this stuff down in, which is plainly available to anyone who wants to see them. They have some on display. You can look through the names and see what they changed them to. This is not a joke, and this is not a myth. It's actual fact, but they're telling you. Many families claim their names were changed when they arrived at Ellis Island, but this wasn't the case. Well, it is the case, actually. They say the officials didn't even keep records of people's names. Well, then how do you explain all those books? This is the same thing as in the comments. Now, I read comments a lot, too. One of the comments says, here's some other stuff for you. One person said 12 believe misconceptions that just aren't true. A misconception by definition is not true. So yeah, he's right on he hit the nail on the head, because it is true that they kept records of people's names. But here's a list of 12 misconceptions, as it were. that people just do not believe. And some of these I've heard, and some of them I have not heard. But number one, there were real planes in 9/11. The misconception is that it was a controlled demolition with CGI planes. Now, if anybody, believe it or not, there are people out there that believe that the planes were fake. Well, a CGI plane only happens on the screen. It's not in reality. It's not really there. So you're not going to see a CGI plane running into the World Trade Center live. It's going to be on a film. Men did land on the moon. The space program, the misconception is by some people that the space program is a hoax. And they point to all kinds of really stupid stuff. Hey, it can't be. One of the things that the Flat Earth Society has used, and those people who do not believe that we've gone to the moon or gone to outer space, is that they will point to the picture of the flag on the moon that Neil Armstrong planted that's waving in the wind. And they say there is no wind on the moon, so how is that flag waving? Well, it's not waving in the wind because it's permanently made that way. It's called wires. They have, there are wires and stuff that are attached to this pole that they then attach the flag to the pole and these wires, and that's why the flag is permanently unfurled. But you got some people are pointing to it and say, look, there's wind on the moon. There's no wind on the moon. People didn't die at Sandy Hook. It was a stage shooting hoax, but the reality is that people did die at Sandy Hook. Yes, believe it or not, there are people out there who actually believe that it was all. And they point to these pictures. See, this person was at Sandy Hook, but she was also at this particular place and at this particular place. And you do a very close analysis of the pictures, and it's not the same people. No, it's just lookalikes. You may look alike, but anyway. The Earth is a spinning globe. The Earth is by the flat earthers, is a circular disc. Because there's no way in hell, if we were on a ball, then we'd fall off. Yeah, there are still people who believe that. There are people that believe that the government prints money. Actually, the Federal Reserve is a privately owned bank which loans money. Now, here's a misconception that this person gets wrong. The government doesn't actually print money anymore. The Federal Reserve is a privately owned bank. In fact, if you go back and look at the Constitution and the initial incorporation of the Federal Reserve, you will know that it is actually a private bank. There was a bombing at the Boston Marathon, and people are saying it's a false flag hoax. Well, I live in this area, and I got to tell you, there was a bombing there. It actually happened. Now, those lines and formations in the sky are contrails. But other people see that they're chemtrails spraying all kinds of chemicals. But again, science disproves that. And if you're actually on a plane, how come people on the plane don't see the chemicals being either loaded into the plane or spraying out of the wings? I even had somebody tell me, well, they don't spray it, Rod. They burn it in the jet fuel. So, do you know how hot those jet engines burn with jet fuel? So you're telling me that they've developed chemicals that can survive the combustion process in a jet engine? What? Those lines and formations, well, the sun is 93 million miles away. Well, we believe that to be a fact. The sun and moon are close and revolve around the earth is a figure 8 pattern. So the flat earthers believe that the sun and moon evolve around the earth in a figure. I guess there's nothing else out there other than that. There are people say that dinosaurs did not exist. How do they explain all that then? But dinosaurs did roam the earth. Misconception, they are fakes. the synagogue of Satan. And this is to dispel the notion that there are people that believe Jews are God's chosen people. Well, if you read the Bible, they are. One of the reasons why, Muslims hate the Jews so much is because they kind of share the same ancestry lineage going all the way back to Abraham, and they know this to be true. In fact, they say, a lot of times you'll hear Muslims talk about the Jews as being those who rejected God. God did choose them, but then he, for whatever reason, he stopped choosing them because they didn't please him for some reason. And that's why they feel that they're supposed to wipe them out, because God rejected them in favor of Muslims. So Muslims have a duty to Allah to go wipe out the previously chosen because they're the new chosen. That's true, by the way. Just so you know. Got all kinds of conspiracy crap going on out there. So, and one of the theories is that Mrs. O'Leary's cow didn't start the Great Fire, Chicago Fire of 1871. It was widely reported after the fire and has become part of the legend. I don't know how Mrs. O'Leary's cow could have started the fire. And supposedly, here's black holes don't just suck in anything. No more than any other massive object. If a black hole replaced the sun and it had the same mass as the sun, our planet would keep orbiting it. Well, that's kind of the problem, because for some reason, somehow, that's not the case. Because unlike the sun, who's expelling stuff, and see, here's where you get stuff wrong. As far as I understand outer space science, our sun, it burns and expels stuff. The solar winds, particles, all that kind of stuff. It's expelling from the sun. So basically, the sun is kind of getting lighter, if you're actually able to weigh it. The difference with a black hole is that it doesn't expel anything. Anything that comes within its gravitational field gets sucked into it. Now, once it gets sucked into it, it's added to the mass. And the greater the mass, the larger the gravitational pull or field becomes. So that means all that space debris that gets burned up by the sun would not get burned up by a black hole. It would just be added to the mass of the black hole. The black hole would then start to grow. And as it got bigger and bigger, the planets that orbited the sun, their orbits would begin to decay, because their orbit is based on velocity versus as it resists gravitational pull. Well, at some point, that gravitational pull will overcome that velocity. Their orbits would then begin to decay. They would crash into the black hole, adding to the mass of the black hole, thus making the black hole bigger, thus making its gravitational forces bigger, pulling in even more planets and more objects, and growing and growing and growing. So that is why you have a black hole, because there's nothing left around it. So yeah, it does eventually pull in everything around it, unlike the sun. But you can only do so much to. Some people just try to sound so smart. There's a whole bunch of other stuff in there, but we're not going to. Zuckerberg tells employees to stop crossing out BLM, Black Lives Matter, on Facebook's corporate headquarters graffiti wall. Yeah, you got a bunch of liberals out there who are crossing out Black Lives Matter. So Facebook has some employees who are secretly conservative, maybe. Imagine that. Facebook has employees that might be conservative, and they're crossing out. I'm sure that's what they're blaming it on. Black Lives Matter. They're saying that it's probably coming from conservatives. There is a study that was done that says rap music. It's about rap music. Rap music, it says, does encourage, and this is from DailyMail.com, does encourage underage sex and alcohol drinking. Explicit lyrics are linked to an increase in sexual activity and drinking in teens. Researchers studied almost 450 students over a 2-year period. Those who listened to rap music were 2.6 times more likely to have sex. Now, experts believe that the lyrics make teens think peers are having sex. This encourages them to do the same and encourages underage drinking. Well, I can tell you that throughout historical memoriam that teens have, well, at least in this country anyway, have thought that their friends were having sex because their friends were lying about it and telling them, yeah, I'm having sex. And so they actually thought that they had to go out and have sex too. Because, they couldn't be the only virgin at 16 or 17 years old. Especially, you could. They got to be able to tell the stories. Not understanding that half their friends were actually telling the story and lying anyway. But it is what it is on that front. But yeah, so the study says that, well, rap music is kind of disgusting, actually. I mean, it's the lyrics and stuff that they have is pretty harsh. Japan is shrinking for the first time since 1920. Their birth rate is so low that their population is declining. And Germany. It says that they're uncertain where 130,000 migrants, as they call them, are right now. They lost track of them. And again, we won't allow those same people into this country. They just disappeared. And finally today, Sharpton might flee the country if Trump wins the presidency. I say that's fine. Goodbye, Al. And the administration is set to share data that the NSA intercepts from all of us. I thought they weren't going to do that. Makes this FBI case with Apple all that more cognizant, does it not? It really does. In any case, folks, that sound means that we are out of time for today. In fact, that means we're done for the week. But we'll be back here on Monday. Same bat time, same bat channel. Don't forget that Tuesday night, 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. is special for the Super Tuesday caucuses and primaries. Until then, I'm Rod Eccles. This is the Rod Eccles Show. Have a great weekend, everybody. I'm out.